Matt Edlen, I've known now for probably since I moved here. And he is the development manager now, or developer on a development team at a company called Edlen. And they're actually the lead ultra-sustainable development company in the country. They built a lot of buildings here that are all sustainable. He has a love of outdoors and urban landscape, which has instilled in him the need to preserve the natural world. The company itself is dedicated to creating vibrant, sustainable, and inspiring places where people can work, learn, and live. So it's my pleasure to introduce Matt Edlen.
I know, I was looking around, you guys, some of you looked a little sleepy earlier. And I was going to say, I'm keeping this thing up here. Just to give me direction, I got a one-week-old baby at home, so bear with me. All you parents out there, I understand. This is, yeah, I understand what exhaustion means. It's like running a marathon every day, all day. So he's heard this presentation a couple times, particularly last night at 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 this morning. So, am I defined by what I do? Am I defined by the products that I produce? Or is what I do defined by who I am? Is what I do defined by the values that make me me? Hi.
Hi.
I'm Matt Edlen.
I'm Daryl DeRoche.
Nice to meet you. What do you do?
I work as a database consultant.
Very cool. Well, I work for a company called Edlen Development Company, and we are a full-service real estate development company that specializes in investment management. We specialize in construction and project management. We do operations, and we do financial modeling for buildings. Cool. Wow, what a stiff. What an asshole. I'm sorry. That sounds like the douchiest thing I could ever possibly say. And I thought I'd just get up here and say it. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for meeting. It was a pleasure to meet you. Great. Let's leave the stiff at home. Hi, I'm Matt.
Hi, Matt. I'm Shannon.
Shannon, very nice to meet you. What do you do?
I do marketing in the hospitality industry.
Very cool. I'm Matt Edlen, and I work for a company called Edlen Development Company. And we are a full-service real estate development company, but we specialize in creating highly sustainable communities, places where people can live, work, learn, and play, and grow, and expand. We focus in communities, or as we like to call it, people, planet, and prosperity, a triple bottom line of thinking of how to create place.
Cool.
That might have also sounded pretty douchey, but that's what we do. That's 2 different ways to introduce yourself. A and B. A is a product of goods and services. That's what I do. That's what I create. Great. I know 50,000 other people who do exactly that. They build things and they help with investments and all this mumbo jumbo. Fantastic. This is what I do, and this is why I do it. This is why I do what I do. I build things, I build places for community to form. I build community. That's what our company does. It's 2 interesting ways to look at a company. It's 2 interesting ways to look at a business model. One way is goods and services, and one way is values. Values, tangible values, values that are embedded in the fabric of the way you do business. I am actually I'm B, I'm not A. It's fun. It's an incredible job. Like Terry said, I work in the development side. I started our operations side years ago, which actually I think is probably the most exciting for me. There we go. I worked in the operations side. There we go, with the badge off, it's fantastic. At least I've introduced myself, so I don't need the badge anymore. So I worked in the operations side. And the operation side is pretty interesting. You get to deal with the people. You get to deal with the end result of the product that you build. You get to deal with the community. And I, being our token Gen Y guy, I'm like 10 to 50 years younger than anyone in our office, which is cool. I kind of like that. I, like many of you, I grew up with, I remember when Facebook came to college. I remember when Twitter came out. I remember when all these things came out. And I looked at those things and I said, there's a powerful way to create community. There's a powerful way to get people to gather around an idea. And this company that we have is really about creating highly sustainable places. And we'll talk about that later, what we've done over the course of our existence, yada, yada, yada. But there's a human element to that. And my job really has been, over the last couple of years, is looking at the human side of it. Technology makes up quite a bit of the difference in a building. If you didn't know, buildings consume 75% of all energy in the world. It's not the cows, it's not the cars, it's buildings. Buildings literally suck. They suck all the energy. They suck everything out of everything. It's terrible. So we've got to look at a more sustainable solution with that. We really do. But technology in these buildings only takes you so far. And I've been blessed to be able to look at how do you take that community and push it a little bit further? How do you engage the community to be part of the change? All of that comes from, and that mission and that quest, I think Liz said it really well. She said that you have to have a mission, you have to have a place to go, a higher calling, a purpose in what you do. All of that comes from who I am. It comes from my values. So when we were sitting down and having lunch, and she was right, she put me through the ringer, it was amazing. I really, honestly, I had no idea who she was. She actually asked me at one point, did you expect I was like this? Did you expect that this is who you'd be meeting? I said, no, this is interesting. We're sitting there and she asked me a question, and this conversation had kind of transitioned into, okay, you're sitting down and you're talking to somebody who has a startup. What do you say to them? And I said to her, and I think we'd had a couple glasses of wine at this point, I said, fuck deliverables. It isn't about the goods you produce. It is. I mean, you should be producing good work regardless. But it's not about the deliverables. It's about the values that go into those deliverables. It's about those pieces of you that make that product have purpose. Purpose and profitability. This is an interesting topic to bring up today, especially in this world. It's a shitty economy we just came out of, and you know, might as well look at it in a different way. Might as well look at business with a little bit more purpose. So let's start with an example of the way our company started. It was, like many of you, it was a startup. It started in the basement of our house. I was 8. My father and his business partner started the company. It was during the mid-90s. And the two guys came together because of a couple reasons. One, they were both in the business, so that immediately connected the two of them. The other was their love of the outdoors. Bob Girding, Mark Edlen. Bob loved to fish, he loved to ski, he loved being outside, he loved Oregon, he loved the mountains, he loved the rivers, he loved all of those pieces that made this state so wonderful. And there's Mark, my dad, good guy. He loved to bike, loves to bike. He and I are up at 4:30 every morning, right on the hill, and we get up there and we stop and we look out and just marvel at how beautiful this place is. He loved to ski, he loved to hike and climb and do all of those things outdoors. He loved this state truly and deeply. Additionally, they loved cities. They loved community. They loved the way community can form both horizontally and linearly, both in a vertical community and in a horizontal community. They loved the power of the culture and art and engagement that cities can have. Seemingly two contradictory things. Their love of real estate obviously plays into those cities there. And the third thing they loved most of all, was their families, the kids, like me, like my son, who was born only a week and some change ago. And they said, look, we love this state, we love our cities, we think there's an impact that we can have in our cities that preserves this natural landscape so that our kids and their kids and their kids and their kids can actually enjoy this place. Because if we don't change, we're screwed. Buildings, they suck, literally. So they started, this is big, back in the 90s. So if you think about the word sustainability today, you see it on every street corner. In the 90s, green was a color. It was not an environmental movement. It was to some, but we were looked at as like those pot-smoking hippies from Portland. Be it that many of our guys didn't have hair, they would think we're the long-haired. We're burning bras and having a great time. By the way, it costs a little bit more. It costs a lot more to build things sustainably. So when we came out and said, hey, look, this is the foundation of our company. These are the values that we've set out to create a company on. Here are the ways we're going to do it. And started incorporating sustainable technologies into buildings. People looked at us literally like we were kind of the red flag people. But slowly and surely, people got it. People said, there were a few people out there who said, you know what, those are the values that I have. Those are the same things that I believe in, and those are the things that I want to build a business model on. So yeah, here, let's invest. Let's do it. And we built the first one, and the second one. And how many of you are from Portland? Okay, you know the brewery blocks and the Pearl? Then we hit that. The Pearl District, when I was a kid, was not a place you went to at all. It's very cool now, but no, it was not a place you went to when I was a kid. And look at it today. No, we were part and parcel with other people who helped make it an amazing place. But what we wanted to do with those brewery blocks, so if you look at the Whole Foods and Portland Center Stage and the Armory, those places, those were part of our sort of largest initial body of work. We wanted to create a space where the streets just, where community just took over the streets, where the street and the sidewalk were pretty much the same thing, where cars were really, leave your car at home. Because guess what? The people rule the street. Community rules the street. In that project, we ended up with the first LEED Gold residential building in the world, the first LEED Platinum performing arts space, the first LEED historic space ever done. The first time anyone ever done it. Okay, we've become bigger today and we're a little more corporate, but back then it was all entrepreneurial, and today it's still like that. We've continued to push the envelope in those means because people have glommed on to that value set. And we believe that those values can not only bring people together, but it can be profitable. And it can be very profitable. In the 40 LEED certified buildings we've done across the country, which is apparently more than anyone else has ever done, so I'm told, we've done about $1.5 billion worth of work. We have seen some ups, big ups, some big downs. Last economy was fun as it was for all of you. But through that economy, we're still here. We look around, a lot of our competitors, most of them aren't there anymore. That or they're really small. And I look back at that, and we look back at what we've done and why people are still with us, and the single thread that comes through, the single thing that made us different was because we led by our values. We didn't lead solely by the products that we produced. To date, we've got a $200 million private equity fund to go build purely sustainable buildings across the country. We've got 7 new buildings that we're going to open up in the next 2 years. It's the first, that fund, when we started it, was the first new equity fund closed that year in the country. And people have been pouring into it simply because they understand the value that doing business like this does. They understand that when you put your values first, you can see tangible results. So, goods, values, purpose, profit. Why is it profitable? Why are putting values first profitable? And I want to open this discussion up, but to get you started, some of the things that we've seen, the values are shared. So I love Oregon. I love the outdoors. Do you like the outdoors?
Yeah.
How many people like the outdoors? How many people want to keep the outdoors around for a long time? Good. If you didn't raise your hand, well, we can have a discussion afterwards. Values are shared. Values are things that we can relate to. Values are things that we can come together upon. And in that coming together, if I value it and you value it, we kind of put that high on our priority list. We see that as something that is valuable. And when you see something as valuable, what happens to the question of how much does this cost? Where do you hit? Do you hit the level of this is important to me, or whatever, I could have this or I could not have it, But when you hit them on that level of these are my true values, these are my core values, these are my core principles, they see things as valuable. People see things as valuable, just as we see it as valuable, and we would invest more money into it, so do people. And that turns profit through the values that you set. Values come from a passionate place. I believe in these things. These are who I am. And running a business like this and working with staff of all different levels, instilling those values isn't that hard because I believe in it. I believe in it wholeheartedly. It's easy to sell what I do because I love it. Because my heart and soul and my values are part and parcel with the business that I promote. Values are external and internal, and they have an impact both on a greater community and within your organization. Now, for some of you solopreneurs, that's a cool new word. I like that one. As you grow, and you lead by your values, you connect with people by your values. As companies grow, you start to connect by this is what I believe. Well, this is what I believe, and this is what I believe, and pretty soon you've got this group of people who believe with you. I think we were talking at our table over here. Karen was saying she's got a company that's about women's empowerment, and she's looking at a clothing line and all this stuff and how you take clothing. And I said, okay, great, this is a cool idea. And we're talking about the problems in getting the business started and whatnot. And we were saying that, okay, you are leading with value. You're leading with empowerment of women. This is a topic that is very, very important. Okay. And you're looking for people who can create the goods that you will put your brand upon and can ultimately turn out. Partner with businesses run by women. Partner with the people who share the same values you do. And you start doing that, and you start holistically creating a brand based off of the values that you have and creating a company based off of those values. Now, who here believes that women's empowerment is an important thing? Okay, you've got your audience here. Go forth, do things, do fun things. So it creates not just an external, that external bond that you can create partnerships and you can create these different connections, but it also creates an internal. So as you start to grow your company, you've got people who you're bringing into the company who are based off of your same value set. Values. What else? Anybody have any ideas? How do values create profit?
If you have that you're living out. They see that you're living out your purpose and your values in your business, and that will attract the right client at the right time, at the right price, et cetera, et cetera.
Wearing it on your sleeve. Putting it right there. Great. Anyone else?
Our company is going through this right now, each of us determining our core values as individuals and then coming together as a company and figuring out what are those values and putting names on them. And what we're finding is the people, the employees, the owners, the directors are all acting out of their best strengths when they find out what their values are. So that is profitable because you got the best foot forward.
Of course. Of course. Yes. Thank you.
I think value creates the opportunity for differentiation, and by differentiating, you can have opportunities for creating, premiums in what you charge, and that enhances profitability.
Exactly. Helps you rise above the noise, that's for darn sure. Again, this Matt Edlen A, there are 50,000 people who do that, but Matt Edlen B, not that many. Thank you. Yasmin.
I would say it's also, when you do it from that approach, it's organic, so it's sustainable within yourself, and so you're operating from a strength point the whole time, and it makes it clear to the people that you're interacting with what you're about. So I think a lot of times business's obstacle is that they're not even clear when you set your mission, vision, values for your organization and then you shove it in a drawer and forget about it. It's not really clear at some point in the future about what you're about anymore. And so when you're clear about that, it's really helps.
Thank you.
I think from sometimes businesses, they tend to get too caught up in their product, but they forget that they need to create empathy for their customer. They need to understand how their, what problem the customer has that their product can solve, instead of just making something and putting out there and then, okay, people are gonna buy this.
I'm not gonna make you run. I'll take it up there. Values are how you recognize the people you want to work with.
What was that?
They're how you recognize the people you want to work with.
Exactly.
And that's because they're about trust. Mm-hmm. If I share values with you or with GoToMeeting, then it's really easy to align our goals and get there together because we trust each other's decisions because our decisions are based on our values. Mm-hmm. If we both just value money, then our decisions will be just valued on money.
Exactly.
But if we value other things but our values are aligned, we trust each other's decisions and decisions happen much more quickly and that's profitable.
Mm-hmm. Charlotte? Thank you, Liz.
That was a risky one, Terry. All right, so trusted me. If the essence of strategy is determining what not to do, your values give you a really good signpost. So you make decisions faster, you don't go through nearly as many mistakes, and you as the executive and the team don't spend a lot of time spinning in circles figuring out what to do because you have a very strong set of rails to keep your business going on.
Exactly. We find, in fact, many times when we're doing a project, especially last couple ones, there's a guy in our group. His name's Dave Chen. He's friggin' brilliant. The guy's so smart. And he asks us every time we look at this project. Every time we look at a project, he goes, "So what's the GED-ness?" GED is Girding Edlen Development. He goes, "What's the GED-ness? What are you guys doing? What is the thing that makes this project worth doing? What are the pieces that make this part and parcel with the values that you've set out to do?" Every time we ask that question, and you're right, it does. It sets you up to really focus in there and make those decisions. Thank you. Perfect.
I just have a question. You're really passionate and eloquent when you talk about the values that motivate you. You've also referred to your company as being quite profitable, and I just wonder, if it weren't profitable, I mean, where does the value of making money the value of having enough money to send your infant to college and have that child be debt-free, that value, where does that balance with your other values? The value of making a profit and the value of making money and the value of creating community and the value of creating great spaces. I mean...
No, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. The profit is a product of it. It's not the goal.
So if you didn't make any money, would you still do it?
We have, in many instances, what we'll do, we will do work that is, we'll do free work, and have done many times over. We have a whole division of our company that is dedicated to, well, relationships with the city. We're doing Central City Concerns buildings. We're doing a number of projects throughout the city. We put like the Morrison Apartments next on Burnside. That's a low-income housing segment. That was part of the model of a project. That was a huge piece where we did it because it was the right thing to do. Absolutely, because it was the right thing to do. And have done that throughout this city, and have done it in Los Angeles, and are working on it in Boston and in Seattle, all over the country. Yes, no, I know. I mean, that's a very good question. Do you ever make a decision? Yes.
But you didn't give away free work because you don't value what you do.
Correct.
You have to value your own work, and you gave it to them as something of value. And there's nothing wrong with valuing community and building a community that makes profit, and I'm pretty much sure that you wouldn't have done it if it wasn't a good and right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So it's not free work for everyone who asks. And when people who have money see you do that and make those discriminating value-based decisions, they're attracted to you because they know that they can trust you with their work.
Exactly.
And that's what attracts the money.
And you have to that profit point. I think we have talked about this before. You know, you're raising money, other people's money, and you're trying to say to them, you know, they have a profit expectation, which I think is really interesting, because you're trying to, and I thought you're trying to sell people that are surely, you know, their purpose. You know, an investment fund's purpose is typically to make money.
It is cut and dry.
And I think it's hard to get around that. I think that might be the essence of the question, right? And so, you know, you've got this balancing act, right? Because you always have to, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like you're promising somebody an X amount of return at the beginning. And so that's got to get really built into what you do. I think that's kind of an interesting challenge and an interesting thing you have to overcome. And before we move to the mastermind, you gave me a really cool answer, I think, when I asked you, well, how do you bake that into your spreadsheet to really convince these guys, you know, look, I'm gonna do this, and I'm still gonna get you this profit. I'm gonna live by my values in building the building, but yet still delivered something to you, and you're not necessarily bought in, although maybe you are bought in to what we're doing.
Exactly. Thank you, Terry. So before we do the mastermind, Terry actually has hold on. There's a worksheet that I put together. And I'm just going to run you quickly through that worksheet and how we want to sort of structure this conversation, and then let it be freeform, and let it be mastermind, and let it be awesome. So you have some cool questions there. The first one is, what do I do? I want everything to be in the context of what is it? What is my goal ultimately? What is the company that I have? What is the goods and services that I produce? And then we start filling in those. And I think actually brought up a very good point when you're talking about putting together your values, because where do those values start? They start with you. They start with your personal values and bringing those to the table. The next question is, who am I and what do I value? What I want you to do in that section, I want you to literally riff, just write the things that you love, write the things that you're passionate about, write those things that you truly and at your core value. And then why do I do what I do? Look at those values. Look at what you do. And start to look at the why. Why is my company, or why is what I do important? Why are those values? How do those values impact the work that I create? And then the last piece of that is a sentence. I am blank, and my company does X. When I ask you that question, what does your company do? What do you do?
We help people grow their businesses by helping them leverage their data.
Great. And when I ask you,
Well, what I say, or what is my new answer?
what did you say?
I said that I work in marketing in the hospitality industry.
Great. What's your new answer?
My new answer is we do marketing, PR, social media, graphic design, and event coordination. And we also have a networking group for women entrepreneurs, 70 plus women in the Portland area, and we help create sustainable operations for all the businesses that we work with.
Fantastic. One sentence. I want you to come up with that one sentence, looking at the values, why you do what you do, and what you do, and write that one sentence. And when you finish that, introduce yourself to the people at your table. And then start the conversation of how do you start to infuse your values into the fabric of your company. Thank you very much.
Matt Edlen, everybody.